Hey, how you doing? This is Scott Kidd, the Yacht Captain Investor. Today, I have a friend of mine, Lord Luke Hammond. He has recently made the transition from yachts to mergers and acquisitions. How you doing today, Lord?
Fantastic.
For people that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So obviously from the deep south, originally from Australia, came out this way and ended up in yachting over 2 decades ago, which seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Gone way too quick. Ended up wife, kids, did the whole sort of, growing up part. But over the last 20 years, or especially just being in the yachting industry, my big takeaway was that obviously amazing travel and loads of fun, but it's inspirational in the sense that you realize that anything's possible. And that was a big takeaway from yachting. The M&A space, just because of an interest in business, and I have this sort of creative problem-solving flair, it sort of reared its head probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And then courtesy of a bit of a life change, wanting to be around family and actually be a parent that was present, sort of jumped into M&A at the tail end of 24, falling into a few different groups of different investors. And I realized that between the network and my knowledge and the time in the industry and domain expertise when it comes to yachting and maritime, the timing couldn't be better. And then when you look at, this industry compared to anything else, it's fragmented, it's ripe for some change. There's bigger REITs that are in there doing a big gobble up and, fragmenting the industry even further. It's an interesting space. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it.
What would you say the similarities, between being captain of a yacht and mergers and acquisitions? What would some of those similarities be, and how'd that make the transition easier?
I would say that the biggest aspect of the yachting side, even though you're, hyper specialized with operations and running a yacht and wearing 50 million hats, the key differentiator is going to be rapport and just being able to talk to people. Because the yachting side, even though the smallest part of running a yacht is actually taking people out on trips and showing them the most amazing part of the world and having a great time, you need to be able to talk to people. And that one thing, regardless of, where they hailed from, whether they're guys picking up a chamois and cleaning the boat, or whether they've just flown in on their jet and they're one of the 1%ers of the world, it really didn't matter. You had to be able to talk to them on their level and get to know who they are in order to be able to provide them with the best experience. And it's the same thing that applies to business. You deal with people on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't matter what industry they're in. It's whether or not you can relate to them and they can relate to you. And if they can't relate to you, there is no chance in hell they're going to sell you their business or even think that you're respectable enough to actually turn around and go, this guy can actually do what he says. And I think more often than not, they might discount you for whatever reason, and I completely understand that. But that's where the community comes together and the people that you surround yourself with that show that you have value to bring to the table.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've always said as a captain is that, communication is what separates the good leaders and good captains from the great leaders and the great captains. Because if you can communicate with your crew and other people that come on board, it's seamless with everyone. Granted, everyone has issues and stuff, but if you can communicate and you're transparent and open, those things are non-issues. And we're in a unique space that we're able to talk to really a whole realm of different types of people from all over the world. So we really have to be able to get our point across, and people don't see great, the 5% of us going all over the place and seeing all these amazing places. The hard work is the 95% that it takes to get there and manage the asset. And I would imagine that commonality of managing the asset is much like managing a business. What would you think?
I agree 100%. I think that the one facet that I'm noticing, and I think it applies to everybody, is you don't know what you don't know. Majority of the people that I've spoken to, they got into business for a certain reason because there was a problem in front of them. They had the solution or they found the solution, and the business grew out of a combination of determination, will, and luck. But then they hit this point, or they hit a ceiling where they don't see a way out. And that's courtesy of their environment, the people that they've surrounded themselves with, and there's limits. The one comment was, I don't have anybody to talk to.
Yes, that's been a commonality in my life as well, because for one, until there was many years of my life, I didn't know you could actually work on a yacht. I didn't know you could do commercial real estate and stuff like that. But until I was around all these people that were doing these things, multifamily, how I got into it was a friend of mine told me, we're on the beach having drinks and stuff, and he told me they bought and sold a 47-unit apartment building in Houston, Texas, and made in the seven figures. And I asked him, I said, you can do that? And he goes, yeah, you can do that. Anybody can do it. I did it. It's just not that complicated. I said, really? And I said, that it's one of those things where if you don't see somebody doing it, you probably don't have one, you haven't been exposed to it, or maybe you just didn't see it. So as far as like this next, with the way the economy is going now, what do you see like for 2025 and M&A, mergers and acquisitions? What kind of businesses are you focusing on?
Right now, because of the age of the industry, majority of the guys, or a lot of the tenured businesses that they're just aging out, looking for change, either looking to scale or looking to exit. So most of right now, my focus is on service and manufacturing, mostly for the reason that there's variations of sustainability to it. It's evergreen within reason. The yachting market itself is definitely increased more in South Florida, as an example. But also at the same time, I know there's a lot of people that are just looking for change, and the available labor that are actually any good and willing to show up and do the job seems to be on the decrease.
Yes, it certainly does, and that's in all facets. We've seen that a lot in the multifamily real estate as well. Labor can be short sometimes in all facets of the economy. And would you say you're looking for more of like the mom and pops that are aging out? Because I've talked to some business owners, and a lot of times they don't know that they can sell their business, because they're like, their kids are not interested. So then they're looking at, I didn't know that this was an exit strategy.
The hardest part with mom and pop is that from a business standpoint, it's not really appealing to a lot of like larger businesses, because the paperwork isn't amazing. There's typically not a lot of procedures in place, and it's a relationship business more than anything else. So if that business owner is looking to get out, typically, and you and I have both seen it, firsthand, that owner leaves, so does there's no relationship there for them to keep going, unless there was like a massive value add that came with it in regards to the service or a way of retaining those customers, because there's always going to be churn. But there is a way to, exit that business and, have some version of legacy going, or there is something there. Yes. You just have to be creative enough with it. And maybe it's not just their one business, maybe it's another 2 or 3 businesses, and there's a way from an income level to support it.
Yeah, I guess you'd probably be looking at some type of transition period where you have to let all the customers know and have somebody in place that's going to make that transition period amiable to the new owner, and also to the customer, really. Because if the customers aren't comfortable with the new person, they're probably not going to stay, depending on what type of business it actually is. Service businesses are very relationship heavy. So
100%. You and I both know this one, that when it comes to the service business, if they answer the phone quickly, because we're not out, if we want something, we want it now. Thanks, Amazon. We kind of want someone to answer the phone straight away. We don't need a response straight away, like come now. It could be tomorrow or the day, whatever it ends up being, and just doing what you say that you're going to do. But the hardest part with that is going to be the relationship. So I had this conversation today about someone that was, they're a little bit younger and they're looking to sort of maybe sell. And the first thing I said to him was like, if you're thinking about it, start prepping for it. You're too young, stick at it for another 10 years and you can probably triple, quadruple what you're making now and get a nice little exit. For someone that was wanting to exit now or thinking about it in the next couple of years, today is the day to start, because there's a whole bunch of prep that you need to do on top of your whole business.
Yeah, I would imagine you have to be very transparent with all your records and everything. And like you said, with the mom and pops, a lot of times the record keeping and they're really hands-on. They know the processes and stuff because they've been doing them. But to get somebody in to understand how those actually work and who they have to call in certain situations would be, kind of a tough one, because, getting back to, how how it is with us on the yachts is I know you've experienced this with dealing with a particular owner or a client that when they ask the question, a lot of times they're expecting the solution before they finish the question or they're expecting it to be done. So our timeline, what we're used to is yesterday. So we almost need an Amazon yesterday or an Amazon before to accommodate that. But we're used to a lot of times doing the impossible. How have you applied that to your M&A business?
I think I bring that yachting, like you said, I bring that yachting rhetoric of there's no problem, it's only solution. I believe it came through enduring as much as we have in yachting, because there's anything's possible. Like there's something going wrong, something breaking, or you've got to have a guide or some. It's the same thing that applies to business. It's the same thing that applies to this. I don't think, well, whatever's being put in front of you, there's always a solution to it. I think that's the one piece that comes into M&A, because you listen to so many people that, hail from, the Harvards and the Stanfords, the college educated M&A guys or business guys, and they come in and it's numbers, right? Zeros, ones, decimals, whatever it ends up being. And it's really transactional. But when you're looking at a business that is relationship based, that is service based, when it is yachting, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like yachting before, in the sense of the standard of service, the level of service, but also the speed at which we can turn around and make something happen. Very rarely do I see anything like it, but you're paying for it. But to have someone that's got that mindset, they're not around. So if you go and take a business guy, it's like, you transactionally on paper, this is a great thesis for your business and we can grow it. In reality, is he going to turn around and screw it up? And every single person in yachting and the maritime industry, and I'm sure it applies to aviation and other sort of like super niche businesses, if you don't know the industry, you're going to be hard pressed to move forward, because it is all, at this stage, it's all relations. And also at the same time, you're marketing towards a moving target, because the target is shifting around.
I would say that speed of execution, still getting used to in a lot of other parts of in businesses and stuff, because I always wondered, and I think it's getting faster now, especially in real estate. It'll take, even residential, it's 60, sometimes 90 days to close. And I always wondered why. I was like, well, you're really just buying something like anything else, but you have all these other people involved. I forget what the statistic is. You probably have 20 or 30 businesses involved. You have title, you have attorneys, you have a mortgage broker, you have a lending company, you have a real estate agent, all the other, probably a property manager. You have all these other people involved, and you have taxes, insurance, and it goes down the line. But all these people have to be involved. So that's what takes the amount of time. But I think there's ways that I still don't get used to, but there's ways to optimize a lot of those things and apply the speed of execution to all these other businesses. Like you said, these business guys, they're like, well, commercial property probably take 90, 120 days to close, and it's like, so there's always kind of a mentality, oh, we got a little bit of time, or that's going to take 3 weeks, or this is going to take a certain amount. And like, I'm still getting used to that. I'm sure there's ways to optimize it, but the people don't understand like the speed of execution that we have to have. Like, it's almost instantaneous, like what the guests need, the boss needs, the boat needs, because the timetables are always short. And a lot of times it's not a money issue, it's a time issue. Like, to get things done within this time, there's that saying, you can do it fast, cheap, and quality. You can only do 2, or you never get 3.
Unless you're in yachting.
Yeah, and even that is a nuanced approach as well. Because we've, for instance, in our last yard period, I think we did 4 months worth of work in 2. As we usually do, we just had bodies everywhere, and we're pulling the tape off and everything else when the guests are walking down the dock. So I'm actually rotating out, jumping off the boat. The other captain's there.
Fresh set of legs and eyes. Like, all right, the energy keeps going.
And because it can't really stop, and it's hard to explain to other people. And for someone that is looking to transition, out of yachting, or maybe do a side hustle, is there any kind of advice or recommendations you could have them share share with them so that they might find their way?
I think I can go deep on this one, and it would make the most sense. I would say some version of self-reflection and self-development needs to happen more than anything else.
Definitely.
I think me personally, had I found out, done a version of this self-development, like with all the personality tests that are out there, without having that information, it's really hard to turn around and say, this is the direction that I wanted to go. Once you start doing that, then you start realizing what kind of lights you up. And when that happens, you can start looking at those niches around you within the industry that you enjoy, that you can lean into. And then if you're leaning into an area, start building those relationships yesterday. You don't know you don't know what you don't know, but I think more so if you know what you want and you kind of have an idea of the direction that you're going in, building relationships and building that network out is absolutely the most important thing you can do, because they're going to open up doors for you that you didn't even know existed. They're going to act as almost like a sponsor in rooms where you're not. And they could be talking about you for you and say, look, I just heard of a great opportunity that could be a good fit for you. For me, it's like there's so many people, it's such a high turnover with Captain. Know what you wanted, have an idea of what is good for you, and then lean into that direction and just explore absolutely everything and just build relationships with people.
When I was young, I didn't realize the value of pretty much all the relationships you have in your life. You keep the good ones, and if you have great relationships and you're clear with your purpose, I guess you can apply that to anything. If you're clear on what you want to do, whether you're starting an Airbnb or a car rental service or renting chairs on the beach or starting an auto shop or anything, if you're clear on that and you want to be the best at that, there's really, once you put yourself around all these other people that are doing it, there's really no stopping you, because you're going to learn from all these people that have made all the mistakes before, and they'll also introduce you to all these other people that are doing those things, because chances are they know they have groups with each other that they're doing similar things. So that's great advice. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you, and we should definitely talk more about this. If people wanted to find you and talk to you more about mergers and acquisitions and what you're doing now, how can they get a hold of you?
The easiest one, to be honest, is going to be LinkedIn, and that's just Lord Luke Hammond. And yes, there's a story to that one, but Lord Luke Hammond's my LinkedIn. You can message me on there. I'm normally pretty active. But with regards to M&A or with regards to maritime and yachting, just reach out. I love problem solving, love helping people come up with different solutions for whatever it ends up being. So yeah, I'm an open book.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If you're talking about boats or real estate or business and mindset, stuff like that, I can keep going until people start rolling their eyes. So.
I know, right? I can talk about this stuff all day, every day. I love it. As they say, that the best analogy I've ever heard, or quote, or whatever it was, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
And
true.
Like, that's me on so many different occasions, but I've also realized that if someone has a problem, it's so much faster if you just go and ask somebody else. But I think you want that person to be relatable to you.
Yeah, it's there's that book, Who Not How, and
it's awesome.
Some who somewhere has the solution that you need for whatever it is you're doing. Somebody's done it and made a YouTube video about it. I'm sure.
Probably, right?
Yeah, nowadays. Thank God for YouTube, because I'm on it half the time, just learning about new things all the time and keeping up with new trends and things that are happening. I don't watch the news so much or any of that stuff. I'd more follow the money, because that tells you what's really kind of going on. We see it on the yachts, and that's just something that I do, because politics, they seem to be the same everywhere. It's not too different. We have no control.
We've got this for 4 years, and then it's going to change and be something else. It's like the only thing that, as what I think it's a Buffett quote, whereas it's like, everything else is going to change around you. The only thing you can control is yourself. So invest in yourself.
We can only control our own inputs and control our immediate surroundings, what we're doing and what we choose to be around. Our thoughts become our choices, and our beliefs, and our beliefs and choices become our life and actions. So, what you think, you can make it true, because, when you really think about it, everything around you at some point was a crazy idea.
Well, just look at the photo behind you of Savannah.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody thought of that. Somebody said, nah, that's nuts, or, air conditioning, or just anything.
And does anybody know about the front room in the bow?
No, you can share that story if you can.
You didn't know about it?
No, I did not know about that one.
There's
Excellent. I guess that's why
I
it's
didn't
there.
say that. You can't
Yeah.
quote me on that one.
That's all right. We have editing. We can edit that part out.
Yeah, redacted after the fact.
It'll go blank for cool, man. So,
Awesome.
well, like I said, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to have you on soon. And I want to hear more about what you're doing. We'll keep in touch. All right,
Awesome.
thanks again, Lord Luke Hammond.
Thanks, Scott.